Yeah, baby. I'm gonna tell you something, man. This is how I felt watching TNA Impact Wrestling last night. The yes chants went up by the Iceman. Um, I thought the show was phenomenal. I thought it was excellent. A lot of people are complaining there wasn't too many matches involved. There was too many verbal segments. But you know something? This was the last TNA Impact Wrestling show of 2013, and what they did with all their segments was to lay down the plans for the upcoming new year. And I think they did that very, very, very well last night. Dixie Carter came out. She had a major announcement and she was interrupted on a number of occasions. You want to know something? The interruptions that came to Dixie Carter were far greater than her major announcement that she did announce later on in the Impact show. Coming out to make her major announcement, Jeff Hardy came out. He wanted to speak to her. He wanted to say what was on his mind. Rockstar Spud came out and sort of like put a damper on that. Uh, we saw Sting come out as well. And just when Dixie thought she had the opportunity to make her major announcement, Gunner's music hit. He came out, wanted to cash in his briefcase to challenge Magnus last night on TNA Impact, but Dixie put a damper on that, saying Magnus is in the UK celebrating his TNA World Heavyweight Championship belt, and which was pretty good segment thus far. And then James Storm's music hit came out, and this created such a buzz. And we all knew that Gunner and Storm were going to meet up somewhere down the road, and so Dixie made a match for last night that Gunner and James Storm would wrestle for the rights of the briefcase to challenge Magnus in the upcoming future. That match was next, and pretty much a pretty good match overall. I mean, I'm starting really to get into watching Gunner. I sort of like his character. James Storm has been there for a very, very long time, and I really am not too familiar that well with Gunner because we don't see him a lot on TNA TV. But like I said, I've really started to develop liking that character, and it was a pretty good match overall. And I wasn't sure what the outcome was going to be. Unfortunately, they both were counted out of the ring, so there was nothing decided right then and there. So look for more of Storm and Gunner in the near future. But all in all, the show started off great with Dixie coming out, trying to make her announcement with all the interruptions. It was a very long opening segment, but I thought it was just perfect. I mean, totally, totally perfect. We also saw a segment with uh, Brooke coming out and confronting Bully Ray, saying he hasn't contacted her in weeks. Um, that Bully blames her for him losing the TNA World Heavyweight title by throwing in the hammer and tossing it a little bit too far, um, giving it to Mr. Anderson instead, and the loss of the stable of aces and eights, how it had to be dissolved. Um, Bully was in one of those sort of modes where you saw a little bit of a different side of Bully Ray. He wasn't as talkative as he always has been because he's very, very verbal on the mic. But last night we saw him very, very quiet. But what he did say made a lot of sense. I mean, in Bully's eyes, he basically had pretty much gotten rid of Brooke, and in his words, when he's ready to. And he made reference to Brooke Hogan, um, saying basically that she was better than Brooke Tessmacher in various ways that we have to let our imagine decide what he was talking about. And that was probably, obviously pretty simple. But yeah, pretty good segment there, which led us to the Monster Balls match with Joseph Park against Christopher Daniels and Kazarian. They had the kendo sticks, they had the crutches, the garbage cans, the lids. Joseph Park had Janice with him. There was barbed wire. This match was a little disappointing for me in the fact that I was hoping to see the tacks come out. I was hoping to see some destruction with some barbed wire. It didn't get to that point. Kazarian and Daniels were pretty much controlling the match throughout, basically until blood started, running down the face of Joseph Park. Eric Young was coming into the ring prior to that. He was going to punch Park into the head and try to draw the blood, but Daniels and Kazarian took him out. But anyway, uh, the situation did occur, and Joseph Park started to emerge a little further and a little bit closer to Abyss. As we all know, that is who he is anyway. Um, but he proceeded to take on both Kazarian and Daniels, and you know, it was great. It was great. He ended up taking out Kazarian, and he ended up taking out Daniels for the win. So look for Abyss in the near future to come to full fruition with the character of Joseph Park. We saw a lot of promos last night as well of Magnus. Dixie's really pushing Magnus now. She's showing just as many promos of Magnus as we saw of the negative promos of AJ Styles with her talking about him recently, in the past few weeks. But, all in all, thus far the show moved along pretty well. Uh, Sting confronting Jeff Hardy. Basically, they they had developed a match last night where Hardy and Sting were going to tag up against EC3 and Rockstar Spud. EC3 was pretty reluctant on this, but Dixie told him basically, "Don't worry, I got your back," and that match was to become the main event. ODB was to wrestle Lady Tapa last night. Gail Kim came out and she was talking about her open challenge. And she basically pointed out that there's been nobody that really can take the title away from her. And the reason behind that was she pointed over to Lady Tapa. And this woman is, as we've all seen, she is gigantic. When you compare her to any other knockout that goes into the ring. But ODB came in and the match began. And I'll tell you, ODB really held her own for the most part throughout this match. It was going back and forth. It took her a while to get Lady Tapa down, but until Gail Kim sort of like distracted and interfered in the match, um, Lady Tapa and then pretty much took care of ODB and ended up taking her out. But overall, it wasn't a bad match. I'm looking forward to Gail Kim getting hers, and I'm also looking forward to Lady Tapa getting her beat down as well. And that will probably come to the hands or by the hands of probably Madison Rayne somewhere down the road. So, like I said, all in all, there was a lot of segments last night, but all these segments had a lot of meaning to them because they're giving us an idea of what's to come for the new year. So I really did enjoy pretty much all of this. Um, Main event: Rockstar Spud, Ethan Carter III against Jeff Hardy and Sting. Dixie decided to make her major announcement, and her major announcement was that next week there's going to be a coronation for Magnus. And like I said, the interruptions to Dixie Carter making this announcement earlier on in the show to open up the show were far greater than the announcement of Magnus and his coronation. Magnus now bought by Dixie Carter. We thought a long while back Magnus was going to turn heel, and it took a little longer than I expected, but he did. I thought they played it out pretty well. But she did make a stipulation that it was going to be a handicap match, that Ethan Carter III and Rockstar Spud were going to have partners by the way of the Bromans, Jesse Garders and Robbie E, along with Zema Ion. This was a pretty damn good main event. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot better than I expected. I'm not big fans of the Bromans. I'm not a big fan of Rockstar Spud. I'm definitely not a big fan of Ethan Carter III. But it was a good main event. It went back and forth. There was a lot of action. Jeff Hardy, was Jeff Hardy. He pretty much did all his high flying moves throughout most of the match. But, you know, of course, when you got five guys against 2. The odds are pretty well stacked against you, and in most cases, you do not come out on top. But when Jeff Hardy was outside the ring, um, everybody was getting involved, and Ethan Carter III snuck up and rolled up pin for the victory. And of course, this will just add to the ego of EC3 because he does think he is one of the best wrestlers in TNA at this point, and of course, he has the backing of Dixie Carter. So after that match ended, Sting apologized to Jeff Hardy, but Jeff Hardy in turn apologized to Sting, and he wanted to address the fans, basically stating that he was sorry, um, but he said his heart was gone, um, and with all that's gone on in the last 6 months of the politics in TNA, that he didn't have it in his heart to go on any further. So he stated that this was his very last match in TNA wrestling. The fans were all shocked. Sting was shocked. Um, a lot of TNA fans who were watching probably were shocked, but understand this. Um, TNA is going on a UK tour pretty soon, and due to Jeff Hardy's probation stipulations, he's not allowed to leave the United States. So this, in turn, will give Jeff Hardy a little bit of vacation time and time off. And we will see Jeff Hardy come back sometime after the UK tour. So TNA fans that are big fans of Jeff Hardy, don't take this, too hard because Jeff Hardy will be back. And again, this happened last year. He couldn't go over to the UK, so they said he was injured while he held the title. So all in all, great TNA. I totally enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the new year in TNA. There's a lot of rumors going around that even Toby Keith is interested in buying TNA. I don't know, probably just a rumor. But all I know is Jeff Jarrett said if Toby Keith buys it, he's in. But a lot of stories about Jeff Jarrett and whatnot, and this could very well be a work as well, like it was with AJ Styles. We will see AJ Styles return. To what capacity, I'm not sure. But AJ is going to do independent circuit appearances as well as TNA. But again, from beginning to end, start to finish, the yes chants go up for TNA last night because I totally enjoyed it. And, if you are a professional wrestling fan and you watched it, how could you really have anything bad to say about it? It's something that we don't see very often. It's a different type of professional wrestling as far as entertainment goes, as far as storylines go, and it's unique in its own way. And I only see it getting better for the new year. So, everybody, peace out. I hope everybody that watched it enjoyed it as much as I did, and enjoy your Friday because I know I'm going to. This is the Iceman. See you next time.